it's Danielle over at DIYDanielle.com, and today for part of our 30-day gift series we're going to be talking about how to make boo-boo bags. If you've never heard of these, basically they're just something that is kid-friendly to use as an ice pack. And today we're going to be making them to look like Pokeballs, because Pokeballs are my favorite thing. You'll see I have one other project that I'm going to be doing with Pokeballs, and so keep an eye out for that. I think it'll actually post before this video, so if you haven't seen it, go back and look for it. Okay guys, for supplies, you're going to want some fleece or felt. Either one will work good because they don't fray. And you are going to want some black, white, and red. You're going to want something for your back. I used some white bubble minky for the back of one of them, and I used some felt for the other, fleece for the other one. You're going to want your sewing machine. You're going to need a needle and thread to do some hand sewing at the end, and you're going to need some rice. I used a little funnel to get the rice inside, but you can just roll up a piece of paper if you don't have a funnel. Alrighty, so let's head over and talk about how we're going to make this. And I'm going to put a copy of my pattern up on my freebie folder for all my subscribers, but you can easily make this pattern yourself. All you really need to do is I traced a bowl for the size, and just kind of drew everything out. It wasn't terrible. But if you want the pattern, it's in the freebie section. Again, for all my subscribers, you'll get a link to my Google Docs folder, and it has lots of patterns on there. So, okay, you're going to cut out one section for your back. Okay, there's our back piece. Now I'm going to fold this in half. So you're just leaving a seam allowance in the top here, because you're going to have to sew the white and the red together. I'm going to make sure I cut the same exact size for this. We now have our red and our white for our Pokeball. We're going to take our sewing machine and we're going to sew right along here. Okay, so what I did is I sewed them right sides together, turned them, and then top stitch along here to kind of flatten it out. As you can see, we have a pretty good match here with the back and the front fabrics. However, before we get started, we need to make our black. So this is going to be cut out in black, and we're going to cut this out in white. You can use fleece or felt. Neither of those are going to have issues with what I'm looking for. Neither of those are going to have issues with oh man, sorry, I am really sick. I have not felt well. So if I'm really more difficult to understand than normal, I apologize. They're not going to fray. That's the word. So you're going to want to use fleece or felt because they won't fray. And you're just going to cut out your circle. And you can cut out this as well. Okay, next step. We need to pin this all on. And we're going to have to sew this on. So I have, currently in my machine, I have some white thread. So I am going to sew on the dot first, and then I will sew this on over to the top. Okay, so I've sewed my white piece on. Now I'm going to take my black fabric, and I'm going to lay it over here, and I'm going to sew this on as well. You may want to pin it. Okay, so I'm going to pin that right there. So we're just going to sew along here. I'm going to do a really good job. I want to sew along the bottom and the top and closer to the rim and then exterior. Or you can use a zigzag stitch, which wouldn't be a bad idea. Actually, that may be what I do actually. Now your other option here, if you don't want to sew it, is to use a glue gun. You're not going to be able to put this thing through the wash, so a glue gun may make sense. However, you do have to sew the red to the white unless you find fabric that's made like that, so just a thought. Okay guys, what I did is I actually went around and straight stitched it, and then I did my zigzag. As you can see, we are completely together with the exception of the back. Now for the back, we're just going to pin these right sides together, leaving a small leaving a small spot to turn. Once we turn this, we'll add our rice and then hand stitch the rest closed. So keep in mind how much you want to hand stitch, but you do need to leave a big enough space that you can turn the fabric through. Okay guys, so I have 2 of these done now, and I made sure to turn them right sides out, and I also just made sure stickies, you want to make sure to go and push the edges out a little. It's not perfectly round because of course user error, but get the pretty much get the idea. If you want it to be more round, you could probably go around with like a bias tape instead. So next step, I'm going to take my opening here. I'm going to fill it with rice. Okay guys, so I finished adding my rice. I just used a little funnel and added it in through here. Now I'm just going to take my needle and thread and hand stitch this closed, and we'll be done. Hey, we're finished. I hope you guys like this. I made 2 boo-boo bags because I have 2 kids and we don't want anyone fighting over them. If you heard the story about the Pokemon toy, you know what I'm talking about. So, here we are. I'm going to show you a close-up picture. It's a little bit better. And again, we filled it with rice. Let's see. I don't know if you can hear it. Throw it in the freezer and it should get cold for the next time your kids get hurt. And again, I got 2. I think I like the white back better. But the nice thing about the red back is that if there's blood involved, well, at least it's red on red. So these are not washable. They are maybe be able to microwave them. I probably wouldn't risk it. It's rice. I mean, if you want stuff that will be microwavable, make sure you get the right kinds of fabric and the right kinds of filling. So rice, I've definitely used rice packs that were heated that had rice in them, but you do have to be kind of careful about what kind of fabric you use, I think. Don't quote me, I don't know my difference between the fabrics. I just don't want you guys to do anything and set your house on fire. So these are for cold. These are for cold. Put these in your freezer. Your freezer, there will be no worries about fires in the freezer. So, alrighty, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to follow along for the 30-day series. If you want a copy of the pattern, make sure to subscribe to my email list. You'll get sent a folder, or a link to a folder that has all the files in it for a lot of different projects. I'm going to have a pattern for a few different projects on this series. So, alrighty. If you make it, make sure to put a picture up on the show and tell section on DIYDanielle.com. Thanks so much for following along, guys. Take care. Okay, so kind of accidentally, I discovered that this is a really pretty stitch. I don't know what I'm doing when I hand sew, really. So you'll find that I kind of just wing things. That happens with a lot of stuff. But look, if I go in and out, what I'm doing is I'm going into the inside of the fabric to do this, and it looks kind of like I braided it. Oh, it's kind of neat.